Out there are a lot of folks with all sorts of issues with money, and some are even scared of it. They treat it as something evil that you shouldn't talk about during family dinners because it's somehow inappropriate. Well, here on Practical Wisdom, we have a different idea about money. We believe that money is a neutral tool that you can use for both good and evil. Here's an example. Let's say I give you a pencil. Well, with this pencil, you could either write a beautiful poem or you could stab me 5 times. Does that automatically make the pencil evil? Of course not. The pencil itself is neutral. It's up to each and every one of us to decide what we do with our pencil. There are so many doubts and ideas about money, and the goal of today's video is to answer some of these. But before we get started, take 2 seconds of your time to subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to become the most valuable personal finance channel on YouTube, and we're trying to get to 1 million subscribers soon. You can help by subscribing now and by liking this video. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Done? Good. We appreciate that. Now, let's get into it. Question 1. What is your net worth? I'm not talking about calculating your net worth. That's pretty easy, to be honest. I'm talking about actually knowing what net worth really means. You know, you look at people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, who are extremely wealthy. Their wealth is respectively almost $190 billion and $152 billion. But this doesn't mean that Bezos has $190 billion in his bank account ready to be used. Here's what net worth really means. Net worth is simply the value of your assets minus the value of your liabilities. If you don't know yet, here's what I mean. Assets. Assets are things that put money in your pocket. For example, you might have invested money in certain stocks and got paid dividends on a regular basis. The stocks that you own are assets. There are many other assets like real estate, commercial property, and residential estates and more. Some collectible items like cards and so on. Liabilities. Liabilities are the opposite of assets. They're things that take money from your pocket. For example, if you're in debt with a bank, that's a huge liability, obviously, and others include taxes, your car, and so on. So net worth is assets minus liabilities. Here's an example. Jimmy is an investor. He's 29 years old, and he just succeeded in the stock market. He sold his stocks for the beautiful amount of $200,000 and made a little fortune for himself. Those are his assets. So is his net worth $200,000? No, we still need to check his liabilities. In the case of Jimmy, he still hasn't paid his student loans, so he's about $90,000 in debt. That means that his net worth is actually $110,000, almost half of what we started with. Liabilities make a huge difference, as you can see. Now, you need to know that net worth can be applied to individuals like Jimmy, but also to corporations, companies, sectors, and even countries. Other examples of assets are cash money, inventory, office equipment, real estate, investments, and so on. Other examples of liabilities are bank debt, credit card debt, mortgage debt, money owed to suppliers, taxed and wages. Question 2. Should I buy a home or should I rent? The simple answer is, it depends. I'd say that in most cases, especially if you're young, it's a better idea to just rent for a while. You see, a house is just something you use. For most people, it's definitely not an investment. It's a huge liability, in fact. I mean, you don't buy a hotel room, you rent it for as long as you need it, then you move on. It's very similar to homes. You should just use a house for as long as you need and then move on to the next. Also, since you're subscribed to this channel, I'm going to assume that you have big financial ambitions for the future. If that's the case, you definitely think hard before you buy a home. If you're now making $3,000 a month and you're trying to grow to 6 figures or more, you won't live in the same house. That would be a waste of time. If you only consider money, the rule of thumb is that if you plan on staying in a home for 5 years or more, it's very likely that buying will be cheaper than renting. But again, it also depends on your plans and lifestyle. If you want to be a nomad and work from your computer anywhere in the world, you can't buy a $500,000 house that you constantly have to keep paying for. You really need to take into consideration this. What's your lifestyle goal? If that doesn't match with buying a home, then don't, even if it would be cheaper. So many YouTube channels and blogs focus just on the saving as much as possible part. You also need to feel safe and be happy. Don't buy a home just because it's the American dream, or because everybody tells you that you should. Question 3. I have a regular job. How do I make more money? The truth is, you'll have to work really hard. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, most people aren't willing to do what it takes. You can't just quit your job, start a business, and become a millionaire in 2 months. The first step would be to not quit your job. It's a security you need if you're gonna get into business. Then, you should seriously reconsider starting a business right away. Many people do that and fail in the first year. Before you start one, you should get your feet wet to understand how business works. I advise you to develop a high-income skill and offer it to the market in exchange for knowledge, experience, and wisdom. There are many skills like coding, copywriting, video making, article writing, consulting, and more. A high-income skill is defined as a skill that can make you $10,000 a month or more. That's a great starting point, and it's probably a lot more than what you're making with your current job. Once you develop that skill and have predictability on how much you can make every month, you can then quit your job and consider starting a business. But a skill doesn't just give you security and extra cash. It's also a great way to understand the world of business. You see, any business sells something. An entrepreneur is just a salesman on steroids. Now, you might have a negative association with salespeople, but you shouldn't. You already are selling, you just don't realize it. Every time you're having an argument, you're trying to sell your idea. Every time you're trying to get a new job, you're selling yourself. Next one. Question 4. I want to start investing, but I don't know where to begin. What should I do? The simple answer is start studying. Just like anything else, you need to understand it well before you put your money into it. There are so many stories of people who were so pumped by the hype of trading and specific investments like NFT and Bitcoin that they put their savings into them and lost a lot of money. The most important thing is to keep your emotions out of it. As soon as you take action based on emotion and not data, you'll start losing money. Most people think that they're able to separate emotions from business, but that's not true. One of the most common investing mistakes is letting FOMO get the better of you. FOMO is the fear of missing out. You might be, for example, scrolling mindlessly on TikTok and then finding a video of someone talking about how great their investments are going. They might even be showing off possessions like cars in their lifestyle. Before investing, it would be a great idea to have financial security and confidence. Also, consider hiring a financial advisor before you put your money into something new. According to the Every Mom, most advisors agree that the best type of investment to get started is an IRA, an individual retirement account. When you first get into this, you could also consider robo-advisors, which are simply algorithms that give you investing advice for a small fee. Question number 5. I have some money saved. What should I do? If you don't know what to do, it's sometimes better to not do. Seek advice and don't be afraid to ask questions, especially if you're paying to get answers. Anyway, paying off debt is one of the first things you should consider. Get rid of it as soon as you can, and you'll be ready to grow your income. It's not that useful to grow your income if some creditors are still taking money from you. Once your debts are gone, you should consider investing in yourself, which means acquiring knowledge to grow. Then you can start investing in something else. Question 6. Are credit cards bad? No, they're not. I know this is the opposite of what most financial gurus tell you on YouTube. But the reality is that credit cards are a great way to be 100% sure that you can pay for anything. Especially during unpredictable times, when you aren't that liquid, credit cards might save you some problems. As long as you always pay it on time, and I have to stress this point, credit cards are great indeed. They even give you little bonuses, and they build your credit score, which will be useful if you ever plan on asking for a mortgage or any loan. In the eyes of banks, your credit score is your reputation, your credibility. The credit score is a long-term game. It takes time to increase, and the best way to do it is to always pay off credit card bills on time